We've got a lot of buildings that could get connected and run better, faster, more efficiently. What prevents that is how much effort it takes to get that connectivity done.
You're listening to the Beyond Buildings podcast, where we talk to innovative leaders on how they create optimal value in a smart world context. We combine strategy and technology talk to absorb reality, embrace uncertainty, and to go from path dependency to path creation. It's smart cities, it's smart buildings, it's data strategies, it's construction, real estate, and Industry 4.0. And most of all, it's smart people. And remember, it's the data that you don't have that will change your life. With your host, the future shaper, the ecosystem architect, Nicholas Word. This episode is sponsored by Idon PropTech OS. Idon PropTech OS is an operating system for property owners that unlocks all smart building benefits in a future-proof way. Used and supported by Microsoft Azure and Scandinavia's largest property developers. Stay tuned to discover more about them and why companies love this solution. Welcome to the Beyond Buildings podcast, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what is it that companies are trying to achieve instead of just talking first about technology, interoperability, these kind of things. What is the sense of urgency? Is there a sense of urgency from the property owners, from the actual sort of like the ones that have the buildings? Is it there where it's coming from right now, post-COVID, during COVID? What are you seeing in this space?
I can just say that when we started out Real Estate Core and actually named it Real Estate Core, the business perspective there was energy optimization, energy savings. That is the foundation of Real Estate Core. That is, of course, extremely important, but it's more or less an hygiene factor. But especially now with the COVID, and we thought it should be a post-COVID, it's presence analytics. That is the big thing. And the big benefit for property owners, that is that you could use your Schneider presence sensor that runs the ventilation, or you can use the lighting system's presence sensors. You can mix so many different sensors and you can use them without having to buy new things, because the BMS or the BAS system equipment that are installed in the building, usually very high quality, and they have a maintenance processes compared to when you glue up IoT sensors. When the batteries end out and they start falling down, didn't really think about who should be replacing them. So that is a little bit my take from a property owner's perspective. Use the BMS sensors for so many new business cases that you didn't know that exist before.
We'll ask later in how that works well with Real Estate Core. But I mean, like Terry, Joel, do you agree? What do you see from the US?
Here's what I'd like to dig in, because these two guys, I think, are deeper into ontologies and tagging and modeling than I am. And yet we're trying to actually do it today. We can start applying tags and models. So here's the idea. I recognize that final ontology and model is not complete. But I guess the question I have is, do we have enough? Can we get started? There's been a lot of talk, and I call it like tagging light. So we call it tagging, Haystack Tagging. Brick, we're sort of crossing over to Brick now. And we recognize that even though the standards were not all agreeing on the model, isn't there enough that we can start adding tags? We have a use case that says, look, and for us, it's FDD. FDD, for the most part, there's a lot of potential for that. And a lot of FDD software, if you apply a handful of tags, you can use it. If you apply a handful of Haystack tags, there's a number of software packages that can consume that today. Isn't that good enough for now? And then we can add sophistication and additional modeling and tagging later down the road.
Since we have these naming conventions and we've been really good, I think we have a couple of people that are dedicated to enforcing them. We're in a much better position because those naming conventions are directly related to content labels that are for the thing. So if we have a supply temperature, then we know based on that name exactly what other kinds of tags might be associated with it. Are you familiar with the Utah tagging standard?
I am. That's a great one. And also the GSA one. Have you seen that one? They're similar.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So the point is, I call it the big red hairy dog problem, right? So you have a set of overlapping taxonomies that describe each of the components of what you have, right? You have big and small, red and green, hairy and bald, and cat and dog. And then what you do is you start to combine those. Now that works okay as long as you know what the domain is going to be. But the problem is what one person calls a supply temperature might be called something else. So tagging by itself doesn't quite give you enough to be able to extract the content that you're looking for.
Here's more from the Beyond Buildings sponsor, Idun PropTech OS. Idun PropTech OS is powered by the data mapping capabilities of the open source semantic language Real Estate Core, which unlocks a host of smart building benefits. By leveraging the potential of existing building data, owners can facilitate better building utilization, new customer services, and more efficient building communications. Idun PropTech OS is free from reliance on proprietary systems. It connects smart buildings to a shared development marketplace, new services, and possibilities on a far larger scale, including the latest energy, certification, utilization, and communication applications. If you want to scale into the future and have a platform to go beyond buildings, then PropTech OS is something for you. Find out more at idunrealestate.com. Thanks for listening to this free version of the Beyond Buildings podcast. If you would like to get exclusive access to all extended episodes, additional premium content, and to truly go above and beyond, sign up to the Beyond Buildings podcast today. You will find the link in the description of this episode and all of the other ones like it.